All right, so my topic has to do with Call of Duty Modern Warfare that's about to come out. And I got this from an article on Kotaku. A Modern Warfare game option is PS4 exclusive until October 18 by Luke Plunkett.
Until October 2020.
Yeah, that makes more sense. I read the URL instead of the title. I'm very tired. But the short version of the story is, as you may be aware, Call of Duty is about to release a new game called Modern Warfare. And a lot of people have been excited because they're bringing back a game mode from the past called Spec Ops. And it's like an episodic story-based game, but attached to that game mode is a game mode called Survival, which is essentially Horde mode in Call of Duty. Now, this game mode, this sub-game mode of Survival is going to be exclusive to PlayStation 4 for 1 year. And it's important to understand that that means that it's exclusive until the next Call of Duty's coming out.
Yes.
And so I don't know where to start here. Like I don't expect us to have widely varying opinions here, but when you first saw this news, what was your reaction?
Well, my first reaction was what you've already stated. Like, there's going to be another Call of Duty by then. And I feel like that's an important thing to note. And and you know, I've had a lot of time to think about this story today, because really all I do is think about whatever Larry's topic is going to be for the week. Because I want to do him proud when we get to his moment in the show.
Good.
So I've been thinking about it today, and I'm like, you know, to me, it's less about the mode, because the mode represents a very small portion of the game. But what doesn't make sense to me is the narrative that Activision has been trying to create around Modern Warfare. And again, I talked about this a little bit on the Nightly Rundown last night, so forgive me for repeating some stuff I mentioned there. But Modern Warfare's marketing has been all about, like, oh, we're tearing down walls. There's crossplay. You can play with anybody on any platform, and it's not just Xbox to PC, but Xbox to PS4 as well. Like, oh, you remember how we used to do 1 month of exclusivity for the maps on PlayStation 4? No more of that. All the maps are coming at the very same time to all platforms. Like, it was all about uniting the platforms and moving together. And that move and that messaging has served them extremely well. We are forgetting, I think, that just a mere, how many years ago was it that the Call of Duty trailer, I think it was for either Infinite, or I think it was Infinite Warfare, was like the most downvoted video in YouTube history. You remember that? That was what, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
Yeah, it wasn't that long. It's actually a Guinness record.
Oh, is it? I saw the EA had the most downvoted comment for their Battlefront 2 response.
Maybe I'm mixing those things up.
But I do know that this Call of Duty video at one point was the most disliked video on YouTube. And maybe when I hand this back over to you, I'll go look up what that video was. But regardless of which video it was not very long ago that the brand of Call of Duty was just in the dump in terms of the conversation happening around it. It still continued to sell very well, is always at the top of the charts in any year that there isn't a new GTA that comes out. And so it never really faltered in that regard, but they've done a great job with Modern Warfare of rebuilding their goodwill with fans, and it's all due to this narrative of we're unifying platforms, we're breaking down barriers, and then for them to just come out with something like this, where yes, in the grand scheme of things, it means very, very little, but I just think it undoes a lot of that work, and it like has become a conversation point that just feels like old Call of Duty, old Activision, just chasing whatever the next dollar is. Like, it's I don't know. It was a strange move for Activision, and it's a strange move for Sony too, who's combated a lot of the narrative that Sony doesn't care about gamers because they just exclusivity, not willing to adopt crossplay, yada, yada, yada. So it flies in the face of two messages that have been really going in a positive direction for both companies.
Yeah. I had totally forgotten about that messaging, to be honest with you. But now that you lay it out there, like it makes absolutely zero sense. And when I first saw this story, like I literally just laughed at it. It's just a hilariously bad move. And like we've been saying, it's particularly egregious to it's not like you're taking it off limits for a month. It's for a whole year. It's for the life cycle of a Call of Duty game. You may as well not even release the mode on Xbox ever.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but
people who are
I would
into
agree. Call of Duty, okay, yeah. People who are into Call of Duty, when the next game comes out, they're buying the next game, and that's the one that they play.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. What really struck me though was this messaging of, look, you're not losing a game mode, you're losing a mode within a game mode. Does that even matter?
I don't think it does for two reasons. Number one, so wait, hold on, did I miss something? Did they actually say something like that, like officially?
I don't. It may be unfair of me to say that, but I've been seeing this a lot across social media and stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's a game mode in a game mode.
Okay, yeah, that doesn't matter really to me at all, because look, I'm gonna tell you, like Wu told me. All right, cash rules everything around me. And that's what this is all about. And it's so strange. Like, if this means so little to the game overall, then why hide the exclusivity behind a wall like this? I mean, why hide the mode behind an exclusivity wall like this that was clearly paid for by Sony? And like, why does Sony even fucking care?
Yeah.
Enough to pay for it, you know? Like, so that logic is bunk to me, just because there'd be no reason for this to exist if at the end of the day it was just a mode that doesn't matter. But I also think, more than it not mattering, I think it gets in the way somewhat of the marketing for the game, not because of all the things I just said, but just because with it being a mode inside of a mode, it uses the name of the top level mode to describe itself. And so for people who aren't really doing their research, they may think to themselves, and you know, people are excited about Spec Ops coming back, Special Ops coming back. And so for them to say like, hey, Special Ops survival mode is exclusive, there may be a lot of people who see the signage, who see the messaging, who see these articles and misinterpret it and think, oh shit, well, I can't play the Special Ops mode if I'm on Xbox. And while that's not true, it's about the perception. And I think that Sony knows that. And I think that's why you pay for it, not for the mode inside the mode, but for, you know, that, like, we talked about a lot about perceived exclusivity when you talk about like platform marketing deals, where it's like, this game's coming everywhere, but everywhere you see it, it only shows the Xbox case or whatever. Like, the perceived exclusivity. This is perceived exclusivity in a different direction of people are just going to see exclusive Spec Ops mode, and they're going to assume it's the entire mode and not just the mode within the mode.
Yeah. For a lot of people, they were really hyped about the Spec Ops mode in particular. Do you feel like this guts that excitement a little bit, or is this like a minor enough thing that?
Yeah, I don't think it guts the excitement for the mode for people who, you know, understand what is and isn't exclusive. And honestly, I mean, PlayStation is going to continue to be the biggest platform that this game is played on. As we at least from a console perspective, and so I don't think it really dampens anything in that regard, because the people who are excited about Spec Ops, it's called Special Ops. I keep saying Spec Ops, and I think that may be confusing.
I keep saying Spec Ops. It's my fault.
Because Spec Ops is an actual game too. So, the people who are excited about Special Ops are likely the people who are just really big Call of Duty fans in general, I think. You okay, man? I don't know. I keep worrying that a ghost is like wandering around your house or something. And so basically.
Yeah, anyway, the Special Ops mode, it's weird to me that the survival mode is nested under Special Ops. It's such a distinct thing, and they're making it exclusive to one console. I'm just kind of like, why is this thing here? Mm-hmm. This story just jumped out at me because it was just such a weird story. But at the end of the day, do you think this is going to affect the game, the sales of the game? Do you think this is going to impact Activision, or is this just going to be something that we complain about on the internet, but it doesn't really do anything?
Look, there's not a thing that is going to impact the sales of this game. I mean, I would love to see the breakdown of. I'd love to see the number of people who only buy Call of Duty every year. Like, think about how much is available that's free to play. You know, when you're talking like Apex, you're talking Fortnite, you're talking Warframe, you're talking, you know, there's a lot of great free to play stuff. I would love to see the percentage of people who buy Call of Duty. How many of them is this the only game that they buy every year? Those people aren't keeping up with this shit. And I would imagine that it is a very big number. And if people are buying more other games outside of Call of Duty, it's going to be a lot of Maddens. It's going to be a lot of 2Ks. It's going to be a lot of Grand Theft Auto. It's like, you know, and I'm saying casual without saying casual, I guess. But those are not the kinds of people who are like listening to this podcast or reading this Kotaku article or even watching these Sony state of plays where shit like this gets revealed.
Yeah, I think you're right. I didn't think you were right at first. Now, at the end of the day, I think this will skew the sales a little more toward PlayStation than they would have been before. But I don't think it's going to wreck the game by any means. Mm-hmm. But is this going to bring negative publicity? Like, to what extent is this going to undercut Activision and all the positive publicity they've been garnering? Do you think this will put a dent in that at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was kind of my point at the top of the topic was, I think it undercuts some of the stuff that they've done. I don't know if it's enough to impact the public perception. I think even just in reading reactions to this story, seeing the number of people coming to the defense of Call of Duty in this just seems a little, that has not been the experience over the last few years. Yeah.
I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on my head.
Yeah, boy.
But I wonder if this decision, I wonder if there was some leftover exclusivity deal they were still beholden to with PlayStation. And this was a way to fulfill that while also moving in the direction of tearing down the walls.
Oh, that's actually a really good point, Larry, that I had not thought of.
Wow.
I feel bad that I said actually, as if you don't make good points every time we do the show.
Look,
but
it's all right.
That's actually something I hadn't considered, that was Call of Duty contractually obligated to have something exclusive, and this was literally the smallest piece of the pie that they could give. Because you can't give a gun. You can't say, hey, this gun, because everybody's playing with everybody and you don't want to seem to give people an advantage. It can't be a map. I guess it could have been skins or, some sort of customization option like that, but maybe there's something within their obligation that says it has to be a game mode or something. So that's actually, that's interesting. I'd be interested to know if that's actually the case.
Yeah, I'd like to know too, because again, it's so weird.
But a year.
Yeah, and for me that explains the year as well, because I could see PlayStation, Sony being like, well, look, if we're not going to have anything major exclusive, it's just going to be a little game mode. We want the game mode. But we're just in tinfoil hat wild speculation territory, so don't take my word as news.
Well, look, and this is not the first egregious console exclusivity stuff we've seen from Activision. I mean, Destiny had ridiculous console exclusivity for specific items that I think if they didn't go over a year, they came pretty close to a year with certain pre-order exclusive guns and console exclusive maps and things like that.
Yeah, by the time you had access to them on Xbox, they were totally irrelevant. Yeah, there's no reason to go after them outside of just collecting everything.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I have to say about that. I had to talk about that story because it's not I don't know that it's a huge news story, but it's such a strange one to me.
Yeah.
A whole year, for the life of this game, you cannot play this mode if you're on Xbox.